over last 20 years, we have seen almost 60 to 70% of brands which were there 20 years back dead, and very few have survived. And you will see over last 2 years, also a lot of financial services brands have died. But it's true for pretty much every industry. Every evolving industry has has very few survival rate. The survival rate in entrepreneurship is extremely low. And if you're building a company, it's so easy to die. Uh, Typically, you die from multiple reasons, but the biggest reason to die is lack of money. So you need to find a way to be liquid. And I'll just take you through some incidents in our lives which we survived through. So the one of the biggest incidents was a 2008 financial crisis, the Lehman crisis. And that crisis really, we were actually negotiating a term sheet and an agreement with an investor in US. And just a couple of weeks before the crisis, actually with two investors, one in US and one in Middle East. And just a couple of weeks before the crisis, the US investor frankly told us that, we don't think it's the right time to actually do a transaction. So, they actually reneged on the transaction. The other investor in Middle East continued to be keen, but was becoming slightly circumspect. Pretty much the similar scenario which is today. 2008 financial crisis. There was another crisis at that point of time, different in terms of the nature of the crisis, but it's still a financial crisis. And what we did is we essentially, our board was actually dithering. Our board was not clear whether we should take that money because some of the terms were very stringent. But we as founders understood that crisis is actually going to stay, and we needed capital to actually grow. So we bulldozed our board and our found other set of investors to actually take up the Middle East offer and actually close the transaction. And that money was extremely valuable because it helped us build few businesses which wouldn't have been able to build otherwise. So survival is extremely critical. And today's market is actually a great example of a market where people need to survive. Uh, and one of the things which a lot of is underestimated is the sheer will and doggedness required to survive in markets like this. Uh, so we had a similar incident in 2000 when Nasdaq crashed and we had to survive. What we did was, fortunately, we had a good bunch of investors. We asked them for our last line. We just told them that give us the last line of financing which you have, and we will somehow survive on the basis of that. So they gave us 25 lakh as survival capital. Sounds like a small number now, but it looked like a big number those days. And we actually survived on basis of that 25 lakh and build the business back, from complete scratch on the basis of survival line.